From the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast, this is AgDay.
What the roots reveal.
So that's where we're trying to find actionable insights that are practical and a farmer can engage with on his farm.
See what scientists are finding below ground that could impact every farmer. The future of ag technology isn't just about autonomy.
It couldn't be a more interesting and exciting time to be in the equipment industry.
See how this equipment could help cut costs for producers as slaughter numbers take a dip.
That's the overhanging negative factor we have for sure. When every carcass is carrying 20 extra pounds than it was a year ago.
How that's impacting ranchers' bottom lines right now on AgDay.
AgDay, presented by Pioneer. What's next happens when blood, sweat, and tears meet rain, wind, and sun. Pioneer. What's next happens here.
Good morning, I'm Clinton Griffiths. The packer margin squeeze is cutting into cattle slaughter right now. Fed cattle slaughter last week was estimated to be down about 7.5%. That's compared to last year. AgDay's Michelle Rook joins me. And Michelle, this is happening as we continue to see near to record cash cattle prices.
That's right, Clinton. Beef packer margins have continued to run in the red and below pre-pandemic levels. And so for the last several weeks, packers have been trying to slow chain speeds or slaughter rates to prop up box beef values and get their margins back in the green.
Last week, slaughter for steers and heifers and excluding cows was estimated at only 455 to 460,000 head. While this reflects tighter cattle numbers, it's also a function of packer kill cuts, as processors eliminated Saturday slaughter in 2023 and are forced to run lighter slaughter schedules on Mondays and Fridays. Gross margins are putting a squeeze on fed cattle slaughter.
I'm disappointed in the slaughter level. I think that, the question would be, are you killing the available supply or are you not? If the weights were continuing to downtrend, I'd say, okay, no problem. The USDA is off. We don't have enough cattle. We don't have all those cattle. But if the weight's trending the other way, I got to be a little careful.
In fact, fed cattle weights have climbed counter-seasonally with the sharp pullback in slaughter and warmer than normal weather in the Midwest. USDA data for the week ending March 2nd had steer weights up 5 pounds from the previous week and 20 pounds higher than a year ago.
That's the overhanging negative factor we have for sure. When every carcass is carrying 20 extra pounds than it was a year ago, that's a pretty large number. So we've got good feeding conditions. We've got cheaper corn, and we don't have a bunch of closeouts that are really green and profitable, making money. There's some of these cattle feeders are losing some money here, even with some of these prices, because the feeder calf prices were so high.
And fed cash prices traded at near to record high prices last week, with the South at 185 to mostly 186. In the North, dress prices ranged from 294 to 301, and live prices were also in record territory.
There was a little 188, some 189. There was, some small regional trade that did get some 190. So there's a few regionals that are really scrambling after cattle.
The higher cash prices have also cut into packer margins and added to their desire to slow slaughter. At the same time, high cash prices incentivize producers to feed to heavier weights, a trend that could eventually hurt spot prices if cutouts falter. I'm Michelle Rook reporting for AgDay.
All right, thanks, Michelle. Many people in the central part of the country spent the weekend cleaning up after tornadoes tore through several states. At last report, 6 people were dead. The storms leaving a trail of destruction and injuries in Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana, and Arkansas. Now, tornadoes were also suspected in Illinois and Missouri. One of the hardest hit areas was northwest of Columbus, Ohio, where it's also reported some grain silos were wiped out.
And it kind of took a path through really 2 villages, Lakeview and Russell's Point, which are, really close together. And it came through Lakeview and did a lot of damage in downtown Lakeview, and then went on through Russell's Point and on to Orchard Island. So, just the things we're hearing from people is just, lots of devastation, lots of property damage, and obviously lots of injuries as well.
To give you an idea of the power of these storms, an Ohio man capturing video of rare horizontal tornadoes getting sucked into a larger tornado near his house. One meteorologist saying it's unusual because you can see horizontal vortices in the tornado. And while El Nino continues to be influencing our weather right now, La Nina appears to not be far off. NOAA updating its latest outlook, saying we could quickly transition from El Nino to neutral weather by the spring and then to La Nina by the summer. You can see that charted out here with the El Nino pattern there in red, neutral in gray, and La Nina in blue. Forecasters saying there is a 62% chance of La Nina arriving by June to August, with an 83% chance of neutral conditions by April to June. La Nina weather systems typically mean drier weather conditions for the U.S. Southern states also seeing some rain over the weekend. Meteorologist Martin Lorimore joins us with a look ahead to this week.
Yeah, we had plenty of rain moving across parts of the south end. The thing is they're not exactly going to be done as we head into the next part of our work week. As we do get into that Tuesday and Wednesday, we'll be seeing, first of all, a little bit of snow make its way across the Great Lakes. Some places seeing that lake effect snow, but as we get into that midweek, starting to see a bit of a disturbance, low pressure moving across the Mojave and eventually into the southern plains. That could bring some more of that rain into our Thursday, maybe our Friday as well. Starting on that Wednesday, a lot of places that saw those storms this past weekend, or just the week before our weekend, seeing more of this rain. Luckily not expecting to be a lot of that severe, just a lot of that garden variety thunderstorms across most parts of the southern plains, and this will eventually make its way across into the southeast as we head into that latter part of your work week. And our picture today, we actually had a very nice one coming in, actually from my old stomping grounds, Norman, Oklahoma. Lexi sent this one in. She said it was like seeing art in real life, and you could see that with plenty of those colors out there. They did have plenty of storms when this picture was taken right here. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to have more on your forecast coming up in just a bit.
A decade ago, when talking about the future of farming, some thought we'd see smaller driverless tractors on most farms. While that may be partly true, today's smart farming technology is about more than replacing the farmer in the cab, as Farm Journal's Tyne Morgan shows us.
Autonomy in agriculture is starting to roll on all cylinders across the U.S. A transformation in ag equipment is unfolding right before our eyes.
It couldn't be a more interesting and exciting time to be in the equipment industry because of all the new technology that has been released really within the last 6 months.
Kurt Blades of the Association of Equipment Manufacturers, or AEM, says in the West, the focus is answering a major need, the shortage of labor.
Harvesting a strawberry. A strawberry is a soft fruit that needs careful consideration. We've never been able to mechanically harvest a strawberry in an efficient way because we haven't had the technology, the artificial intelligence, the sensors to be able to detect whether it's the right shade of green, the right shade of red, and then also handle it with kid gloves.
In the Midwest, the autonomy trends look a bit different. Instead of smaller driverless equipment, major equipment manufacturers made a splash at recent shows with the largest horsepower combine and tractors yet, all with autonomous capabilities.
We've been very clear that by 2030, we want to have a full production system for corn and soybeans that is fully autonomous. But you'll see us bringing out over the successive years more autonomy solutions in each of the steps across the production system.
Aaron Wetzel is the VP of Production Systems for the Production and Precision Ag business at John Deere. And in his 35 years with the company, he says he's amazed with the amount of change he's seen in just the past 5.
And that's fueled by things like artificial intelligence, its machine learning capabilities.
It's clear ag technology is driving changes in equipment today.
And in fact, I don't think we can quite comprehend how different the ag space is going to look 10, 20, 30 years from now than what it looks today.
Kubota is another company embracing the changing world of ag equipment.
We need technology to harvest the data so we can make better decisions. If we can make better decisions, then the sustainability, doing more for less, we can start doing that, and or use technology to make the best operator your everyday operator. And I think that's where we're investing in.
Todd Stuckey is president of Kubota Tractor Corporation, but also the chairman of AEM, which allows him to explore autonomy on a much broader scale.
One thing that we need to do as an industry is make sure the regulation follows the technology. So we don't want to have an autonomous tractor that we have to have a person in it.
Technology as a tool is what will allow farmers to make more precise, real-time decisions, uncovering a future of smart farming like nothing we've ever seen.
The impact is going to be very interesting for the next 5 years because we're just beginning to see the rapid adoption of that sensor technology, that optics technology, and seeing what that means for a farmer.
Corn was positive on Friday, while cattle also climbed. We have a look at the week ahead coming up. And later, we do a little digging to check out what's going on underground and what researchers are finding that all farmers need to know about in the country. Cattle prices continuing to climb at the end of last week. Michelle Rook is back with more on whether records could be broken again this week in Markets Now.
Grain markets closed out the week last week mixed with row crops higher, wheat lower. Chip Nellinger, Blue Reef Agri-Marketing, joins us. Chip, soybeans closing higher on Friday and for the week. Notebook Crush helped us on Friday, but it also looked like fund short covering last week.
Yeah, we finally, for the first time in a long time, saw the funds, maybe starting to get out of a record short position that they had built up in the bean market, and a big short position in corn as well. As we, violated some key moving averages to the upside last week, the 20-day moving average seemed to set off some, additional buying by the funds. I think it's a battle right now as you rally corn and beans and the funds get out of their short positions and create that buying. It's met with a lot of farmer selling corn here in the United States, but the Brazilian farmer has a lot of unpriced inventory of beans in the southern hemisphere. So we kind of have a battle going on here as we look ahead into the end of the month. Are the funds going to continue to short cover and push prices up? And how much will farmers reward that rally? So things could get a little bit choppy and volatile here price-wise for the rest of March.
It feels like the corn market, which was a little higher on Friday, wants to follow soybeans, but wheat has been such an anchor on that market, hasn't it?
It really has. Just very, very disappointing. We can't seem to stop the wheat market. The obvious, issue there, or culprit there, is China seems to be canceling wheat purchases, not only here, but all over the world. Australia, there's rumors they canceled some French wheat purchases. Not sure what's going on there, but it casts kind of a negative tone across the entire wheat complex here this past week.
As we move into the end of the month, Chip, will we start seeing fund short covering end of month going into the big USDA reports or not?
Yeah, I really like the way we closed corn and beans on Friday. It says to me that the funds are done being aggressive short and just really pressing on the market. We're starting to uncover some better demand. We sold some corn to Unknown last week on Friday. We've seen, we saw the Notebook Crush report be a record for the month of February on beans. And so demand is there on the price break here. And I do think that maybe going into the end of the month with this, stocks and acreage report just a couple weeks ahead of us here, that the funds will continue to come out of some shorts.
Thanks so much, Chip Nellinger, Blue Reef Agri-Marketing. You can get our full analysis, though, at my Markets Now podcast.
Farming has changed. Markets are riskier than ever. For customized, focused commodity marketing, contact Chip Nellinger or Adam Dreyer at 309-550-7213.
Yeah, and with that rain, with those storms that came through the past couple of days, Drought Monitor has luckily been starting to fall off across parts of the southern plains, and I've been seeing some very aggressive drought. And with more of the rain on the way, I imagine a lot of these yellows and oranges probably going to be fading away by next week's Drought Monitor as well. So let's talk more about that precipitation over the next week or so. Now, as we go to that first part of our work week, seeing a first system moving through and then another one, we could actually see plenty of rain moving in across parts of the deep south and into the southeast, places that have seen not a whole lot of rain, like in Louisiana earlier this year. They had most of the state in exceptional or severe drought. After this, don't think we'll be seeing much more of a drought as we head into our springtime, especially getting that nice 2 to 3 inches of rain. Could have a couple areas maybe seeing some of that isolated flooding as well. So it's a place we're going to be keeping our eyes on for sure. And the temperatures will be just a tad a bit above that normal for a lot of us as we head into that late part of our March. And you're seeing this large area right here near the Canadian border, the northern plains moving into the Pacific Northwest below that average. And I'll show you that in the jet stream as we start pulling this up. I mean, talking about this right here, this moving on as we get into that Monday to Tuesday time frame, watching as this low pressure takes over, makes most of the Northeast pretty cold, and then we see two distinct things popping up. It's this low pressure that's going to be, again, taking over most of the northern plains, making it quite cool for places north the Dakotas, up toward Montana, near the northern Rockies, even towards the Great Lakes, Lake Superior right there. But there's also a ridge that's developing into the south. That's going to cause it to be pretty warm for the late week. week for this next work week. So things will be looking a little bit different for a lot of us as we get into the north, of seeing those temperatures beginning to fall down. So especially with those warmer temperatures in the south, it looks like spring is trying to really take hold for parts of the south. Elko, Nevada. It's going to be a cooler one. Sunny skies though, high 57 degrees. El Dorado, not El Dorado, El Dorado, Kansas, high of 69. Beautiful day, partly cloudy conditions. Finally, London, Kentucky, not England, London, Kentucky, high 65.
Which do you prefer, online equipment auctions or in person? Well, as Machinery Pete tells us, some folks are telling him they long for the good old days.
Well, folks, a big auction this Friday, March 22nd in Palmyra, Missouri, and I'll be there. It is an inventory reduction auction for the good folks at Sidus Tricker Noby Partners, great John Deere dealer, and the sale is by my good friends at Wheeler Auctions and Real Estate. Now, it was interesting, this last week I had a chance to visit with Kirby Fecht with Wheeler Auctions and Real Estate, and we did a preview of the auction, and Kirby made a point to say, Pete, you know, we think here at Wheeler Auctions and Real Estate that the ideal way to have a sale is still a live in-person auction, of course, with online bidding. And that was interesting to me because as I've traveled around this winter and spring, picked up kind of a growing sadness for people missing live in-person auctions. So we got a humdinger with Sale Friday, folks. Again, come out to join us in Palmyra, Missouri. The sale starts at 11, but there's actually a brunch at 9:30. I'll be there visiting with people. Eddie Sidus Tricker will be on hand, of course, a legend in the farm equipment business. And when we get to the sale, tons of late model equipment on this auction, folks. 21 tractors, many late model units, 7 combines. Again, a number of very late model harvesters there. But to me, the headliner on the sale are the planters. We got 22 planters, and if we break that down a little bit, we got 9 23 models and 6 22 models. And to break that down even a little further, there's a pair of 23 model John Deere DB60s, a 47 row 15 inch with 4,549 acres, and a 36 row 20 inch with just over 3,900 acres. Now there's also 5 John Deere 1775 NT 24 row 30 inch planters that are either 22 or 23 models, and 6 John Deere 1795 1631 planters again that are either 22 or 23 models. So folks, come out to Palmyra, Missouri on Friday. It's going to be quite a day.
For centuries, farmers have focused almost entirely on what happens above ground in terms of plant health and yield. But now agronomists are investigating the connection between what people see and what's happening in the root zone. At Beck's headquarters in Atlanta, Indiana, agronomists are doing what they call root reveal research, using old totes and fishing line that is then shrink wrapped and filled with baseball diamond field dry. Corn is then watered and fed nutrients until root growth stops. When emptied, they're left with a clear picture of every hybrid's root structure. Some are deeper, vertical roots, some are wider, horizontal growing roots, and some are a little of both.
We were fascinated at the differences, right? When you dig, you see small differences. When you do it this way, you learn not only about architecture, but you get a better classification around mass, but then also the root types that exist.
He says right now there doesn't appear to be a right or wrong root structure, but instead, knowing what the root characteristics are may change how a farmer selects a variety or influence other steps in how they farm.
And I would say what we believe, right, and believe is the operative word right now, is that we can probably learn about stress tolerance, nitrogen timing and placement, and then population regimes, how these different factors impact a plant in that regard. And also then the neat thing about that is those are things that a farmer can impact on his own, right? And so that's where we're trying to find actionable insights that are practical and a farmer can engage with on his farm.
The research is still very new, and agronomists are excited about the answers they may yet uncover.
We compare this kind of to the ocean. You know, we've explored the earth quite a bit. We haven't explored the ocean quite as much, and this is kind of the ocean of the corn plant, right? And so we really don't know where this will take us. But what we do know is as we've started to dabble in this, is that, man, there's a lot to learn.
Of course, we'll keep you posted on what they find. And you can read more about this later today on agweb.com. And that's all the time we have this morning. We're sure glad you tuned in. From all of us here at AgDay, I'm Clifton Griffiths. Have a great day.